Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Mechanical Warriors. My name's Josh Cav and today I want to talk to you about a problem that I had tonight with the 2-rotor. I was driving along and all of a sudden my AFR started going really rich. It didn't take me long to figure out that I had blocked injectors. I want to show you how I managed to fix the problem so I could limp the car home doing a simple change in the ECU, and we're also going to pull these injectors out and see what's happened. I'm pretty sure I know what the problem is. We've been running E85 in this car now. The lines that are being used in the car, I don't believe that these lines are suitable for E85. And I'm kind of glad that I ran into this problem because I get to share it with you guys, and hopefully you won't make the same mistake I did and save you some money. So let's get stuck into it. All right, guys. So first things first, I want to walk you through the NSP software and the changes that I made to the ECU in order to limp the car home. Now, basically what happened was I was driving along the highway and I noticed all of a sudden my AFR start going really, really leaning out. And it just nothing made sense. And then it finally clicked, and I realized the lines that I'm using, the fuel lines, I don't know if they're rated for E85. I have no idea. Straight away, I thought, well, okay, we could be having blocked injectors, because if the lines are perishing in that section, then it's going to go straight into the injectors and block them. There was a way that I could confirm that this was what the issue was. In the rotary setup, now every car is different, but you could theoretically, if you've got staged injectors or a staged injection system, you could try this as well if you run into a similar problem. In the rotary, we've got the first stage is the primary injectors, which are in the center plate, and then we have our secondary injectors, which are in the intake manifold, the lower intake manifold. What I done is in our fuel tuning, we've got two stages here, stage 1 and stage 2. Now, normally this starting duty cycle is set at 50%. And basically what that means is once this duty cycle of this first stage reaches 50%, the second stage will then start pumping, and they both stage together. They both raise their duty cycles together. All I done was I thought, well, stage 1 is blocked, so we want to trick the ECU by putting that to 0, which then makes stage 2 come on straight away. So now our stage 2 injectors are the ones running our primary fuel map. Now, the issue with this is that if your second stage injectors are a lot bigger than your primary injectors, which mine are, then it's going to throw out basically everything. I didn't want to mess around with my map too much. All I done was I came to here, I enabled the overall corrections function, and then I just added or removed a bit of fuel in order to get my AFR good enough just to limp the car home. We're not hitting boost or anything like that. We're just casually driving the car back home. What we're going to do next is get into the car, rip the top of the motor off, get these injectors out and have a look at them, find out what blocked them. If it was the hose, we'll rip the hoses out, put new hoses in, something that's compatible with E85. Now, I just want to take a moment to say, if you haven't already liked and subscribed to the channel, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. If you like this sort of content, learning about how to tune, how to fix cars, playing with rotaries, all that sort of stuff, it really helps us out. So please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. All right, let's get stuck into this car.
guys, so we've got everything out of the car and I've inspected everything and our injectors seem to be fine. These are our primary injectors here, which they're not blocked. I've just opened them and just blown through them, but I can tell that even just through blowing through them, there's no change in flow between either one. They both feel very much the same, and I didn't see any debris coming out of them. I've also inspected the lines. The lines don't seem to have any debris in them either. That led me to the plugs, which I pulled the plugs. Now I didn't take any videos of the plugs once I got them out, but they were black as black could be. They were caked up. One of them was really caked up. The other interesting thing that I found was one of the plugs was like finger tight, which would have been dropping compression in that rotor. So I believe that may have been the cause. We fouled the plugs. Another thing too that I done when I was driving and I noticed the AFR going up, I added more fuel. And by adding more fuel, I'm adding more oil. And if it's not burning properly, then I'm just creating more of a fouled situation in the plug. So I've done our trick with blow torching the plug, because these are quite expensive plugs. And also I can't get them here anywhere. So we've repaired them with the blowtorch. If you haven't, if you want to know how we do that, I've done another video separately on how to rejuvenate spark plug. I'll put a link in the description below. So let's put all this back together, get it sorted. Now I have noticed too there is a slight coolant leak in the engine coming from somewhere. I believe it's coming from behind the water pump. I want to have a look at that as well and see where that's coming from, if we need to pull that off. I'm not sure if it's come from the cap. I don't have an expander tank on this setup. I do plan to put one in. Basically what happens is at certain temperatures, if the car gets a little bit hot, it does tend to blow out a little bit of coolant out of the top of the cap and then blow it all over the engine, which makes it a little bit hard to see where it's actually coming from. So I'm going to do an inspection over the whole engine. We'll put all this back together, but it was good news to know that these weren't blocked. Our primary injectors also looked very good. There was no blockage. They do look a little bit dirty, otherwise they're fine. The other issue that I found as well was there was a little bit of fuel sitting, pooling in the bottom of the block, which there could have been from some type of fuel leak. So we're going to check all the rubbers, all the seals, the whole fuel system from start to finish, make sure there's no leaks, put it all back together and see if the problem's still there. So let's get stuck into it. Okay, so we've got it all back together. I've just reversed all of the corrections I made on the ECU, and now we're going to crank her over, see if the problem's still there. All right, moment of truth. You can see temperature is exactly 13 degrees. So this is dead cold start. Whoop. Woohoo! She's alive again! Just noticed a massive fuel leak. I haven't done that up. I'm surprised that even started. All right, let's nip that up and try again. Theoretically, guys, we should have done a fuel check before we fired that up, because we could have created a massive fire there. So next time, remember, check your fuel system and make sure there's no leak. All right, we've nipped that up. We're going to check it now. So I do have an override function. So we'll turn it on. Go to our keypad. Let's override the fuel. No leaks anywhere. Alrighty, let's fire her back up. Turn the override back off. There we have it. She's back up and running once again. So I believe what happened there, guys, for whatever reason, the fuel system did go lean, which I'm not 100% sure why. It could have been because of playing with the map the other day and there was just a lean spot that I was noticing, because after I noticed that lean spot, I added fuel. Now, by adding fuel, you're also adding oil, which is giving the opportunity for these plugs to foul over. Now, these plugs have a really short spark gap in them, so they're a little bit easier to foul up. So I believe the problem was fouling of the plugs, and I should have just changed the plugs and be done with it. But it always doesn't hurt to check, make sure the fuel system and everything is okay. So it was good to pull all that apart, make sure everything was fine. The E85 doesn't seem to be affecting these lines so far, so I'm guessing that they seem to be fairly resilient to the E85, unless it's the additive that is in this fuel that's helping save the lines. I'm not sure. That's pretty much it for today, guys. So if you learned anything from today's video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and we'll make more videos for you.